Okay, Mark Williams, Republican Party Chair for Panola County. Proud to be here today. We've got our speaker here, our criminal district attorney, good friend of mine, also our vice chair, Larry Fields. Larry's going to come up and give us a little bit about what's going on with him in the office now. So, come on up, Larry.
Good after lunch, I guess it is. Well, I appreciate being here, talking with you and everybody that's listening. Really, I guess I'll just give you a few numbers and y'all can ask some questions. But so far this year, in 4 months, we've presented 139 cases to the grand jury. 126 of them was true billed. There were 7 that was no billed, 6 that passed, and we had 2 people testify live at the grand jury, which normally doesn't happen, but certain cases you do. Well, it would appear that there are about 575 pending active cases. Okay? 560 pending this year that we filed that are still pending. That is the county court at law and district court misdemeanors and felonies. Now let's jump to the justice of the peace. On January the 1st, there were 271 cases pending in the JP courts. There's never been a trial that I'm aware of on a Class C misdemeanor in the last 30 years, but we have had court hearings and are scheduling trials for ticket violation and Class C violations. So, there were approximately 449 warrants or capiases on cases to where people had not showed up to court or had never been arrested on a case once it was filed. Now, we have issued 10 arrest warrants this year, and there's been 15 people that have capiases issued on them. Now, the difference, a warrant is before somebody is arrested the first time. A capias is where somebody didn't show up for court. So there's about 474 in that neighborhood of cases that are pending that either have some form of a warrant issued on them. There was in excess of 1,300 cases pending. Now understand that according to the records, only about 575 of them are active. The rest of them have warrants issued on them or they've never been arrested, so there's a capias or a warrant issued. And that only goes back to about 1996. There's more than that, but that's just as far back as this current computer system goes. So, at this point, I can't tell you how many there are. I know there's cases where, in the recent past, I was aware of cases back in the 80s that were still pending. A conversation with the sheriff, and he and I talked about the needs, and I presented him with a list of 449 cases that had warrants or capiases issued, and I asked for his help trying to round them up. So he went to the commissioners, and we assisted him and asked that a special warrant officer be gotten, and it's not with county money, it's with the grant money. So we have a special warrant officer that the Sheriff's Department, with our asking for it as well, was able to get this year to try to round up some of those people. Now, let's talk about arrest. And understand, these are not exact because we don't have a system that we have access to that keeps up with exact, okay? But there appears there's been somewhere around 347 people arrested and booked into the county jail. Since January the 1st, we have filed 239 new cases. That would be misdemeanor, AB misdemeanors, or felonies. 239 in 4 months. January to the end of April, we have disposed of 312 criminal cases. And again, we have filed 239 and we have disposed of 312. But we had 160 pending this year of the cases we
Criminal
filed.
cases.
Criminal cases that we filed this year. We have sentenced, on felony cases, we've sentenced 35 people to what TDC for 15.75 years. That would be, you know, somebody might get 18 months, you know, but if you just add all the months up in the years for 15.75 years. We've also put 145 years of people on probation for a total of 145 years. You add all the total certified officers up that work in Panola County, it comes up to 117. Okay. Carthage PD's got 17 certified officers. Carthage Fire Marshal is one that, these are people that can bring cases to our office, okay? We've got the Carthage Fire Marshal, we've got CISD, we've got Constable Precinct 1, Constable Precinct 2, local DPS, DPS investigators, Forestry Service, game wardens, Panola College, Panola County Sheriff's Department, Texas Rangers, State Comptroller's Office, State Fire Marshal, and Tatum PD. Now, if you just add up all the certified peace officers that make cases, that present cases to us, you got well over 100. It shows 117, but I know of at least 7 that are double dual. So you got about 110 certified peace officers that bring cases to the DA's office. There's 2 attorneys in the DA's office right now. Okay? It's unsustainable, the number of cases that are pending, the number of cases that are coming in every day. And if you look, and I repeat it, over 110, or about 110 certified peace officers that regularly file or that work here that can file and that work cases in our office. So, we have 2 people. We have 2 attorneys working in the office. There's cases on this report that go back to 1996 that are filed that have not been tried. Okay, how do I get to at least 600 new cases this year at this rate we're going? And what was my total? 575 pending cases to 1996, and then another 400 cases this year. What do we do with these old cases? How do we dispose of them? You know your witnesses are not going to be necessarily there. But I mean, I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just telling you that these are some of the issues that we face. But the biggest issue we face right now is the fact that 2 attorneys, fixing to be 3, versus 110 people filing cases every single day. And if they spend 30 minutes on a truck stop and an hour in their office preparing the paperwork, how many hours does it take us to process that one case? So let's just say they spent 2 to 3 hours on a case. It's going to take us more than twice, more than 4 times that amount of time on average to process that case. Look at all the evidence before it's filed. And we've changed this year. We're looking at all the evidence before the case is filed. That's why we've had nearly 50 rejections instead of waiting and showing the dismissals. And that's the reason we had 50 plus dismissals, is because in our opinion they should have never been filed in the first place. Yes, sir. Concentrating, or I'm trying to concentrate on the 500 or 600 we're filing this year versus the 1996, because I believe that the victims of crime in 2025 needs their case heard in 2025, not in 2035. So, one of the things that I said whenever I got sworn in was that I was going to do my best to stop the revolving door at the Panola County Detention Center.
Right.
I have to have the help of the judges, justice pieces in particular, to set a reasonable bond, and whatever they decide, it's not my business what they set. But then it's also my job to make sure that the repeat offenders don't just keep getting thumped on the hand, not even slapped on the hand.
That's right.
So, well, let's just go on through it.
Okay.
We need an intake person to be able to intake those files and work on it. We need computers. If you turn a video and start watching it, and if you're somebody that can type, not me, and you're typing up what's going on the video so you'll have the notes, Well, you're typing and all of a sudden your cursor's here and it's not moving because our computers are old computers. They don't have the speed nor the memory that we need to be able to operate in our office. But that money's not budgeted. And we can't just go all at once and say we need X number of dollars. So I'm not putting that on the county. I'm just saying we don't have it. So we've got to figure out how the way to get it. Software. We don't have the software. Okay, we need about $25,000 a year software just to start off with. It's annual software. And Jim, what the sheriff's department paying for their one system?
$5,000 a month.
So there's $60,000 a year the sheriff's department has on one type system that they have, not all of them. We need about $25,000 a month. A year. We need about $25,000 a year to be able to do those things that we minimally need to do. And of course, that'd be paid out. So yes, new equipment will help be able to utilize the staff that we have. But everybody there works hard. It's a great atmosphere up there. Whenever I came home, I told everybody you got a job. The only thing that I ask for is loyalty to the office and respect for your job. That I will either gain your loyalty or not, or I'll gain your respect or not. That's something that's earned both ways. You know, we're trying to find money without coming from the taxpayers.
Committed in 2025 to be, taken care of at least the prioritize, or at least the last 5 years.
But you can't forget every victim of a crime is important.
Yeah.
But some of the more serious crimes, you can't forget them either.
Right.
And you've got to work them in also, and we are.
Yeah.
We are. So, no more questions. I will relinquish the floor back to Mr. Williams.
All right, thank you, Larry. Appreciate everybody that showed up today. Larry had a lot to tell us. I know he probably could have gone on for a while, but I appreciate him so much for being here, and Jim working with Larry and continuing to try to improve Panola County and everything that we do. So thank you for being here, and meeting adjourned.